Beckman Unleashed podcast number 27. We got a lot planned today.
We are live.
We're live. I'm Joel. This is Eric. We're going to watch a viral video in about 30 seconds of a golden retriever running up to multiple Dobermans. I'm going to give you my take on this, which I hope is a unique take. Someone sent me this on IG. I thought I'd do it here. Then we're going to get into Garrett Wing's appearance last week. I'm going to talk about some clients I had today, which one of them I kind of got into it with them a little bit. You might find that interesting. And then we'll do breed of the week, comments, and all that good stuff. Sound like a plan?
That's fine. I'll agree to that.
All right. So we're going to bring up this video. So it's a golden retriever coming in hot. Here we go. And let's get that mute button on. It's on. Okay. Here we go, guys.
Oh,
let's watch this video.
I think I solved the problem. Here
together.
We go. Ready?
Yep.
Look at this guy coming in hot. Wish it was zoomed out a bit.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you what I think of this. I've watched it like twice. This is probably my third time watching it.
Want to let it watch?
And that's it. I thought it was longer than that.
Yeah, this could be just a part of it. I wish the camera
all right.
person was
the same thing. Same thing applies. So, how many times have you heard me in a video say energy meeting energy can cause problems? So this guy just rolling up that hot. The Dobermans should be commended in this video, by the way. They are not wanting to fight this dude, nor should they be ready to. Would I like these Dobermans to pin this dog? Yes. Do I fault them for not pinning this dog? No. Would it be best thing for this Golden to get pinned by these Dobermans? Absolutely. It's going to be hard for any one of those Dobermans to pin that dog. Did you see his sturdiness? Did you see his out of controlness? Did you see his willing to go in the mix and mix it up? I've had this occasion with Prince many times where Prince is like, I'm not going to get into a fight that I can't win. I'm going to lose this. I don't want to do this. Right. And these Dobermans are smart to say, we're not just going to go at this guy. Now, 3 of them could win, but dogs don't really think like that necessarily. But here's what these guys should have done. Here's what the owner should have done. I don't see the owner in the background there. So I think the Golden was just cruising around. One, he needs a recall, right? If the owner's there somewhere in the background, you can't call your dog away, right? That's where my go get method comes in handy, where it's like the dog doesn't ever learn that they can get out of the recall. Okay. So recall comes in handy, but forget that for a minute. If I was the owner of this Golden, I would have gotten there. I would have flipped my dog on its side. Now, these Dobermans are not going to attack that dog when he's on his side. They're just not. You can tell by this video, these are well-trained hold back Dobermans. I would have flipped my Golden on the side and I would have let all these Dobermans, there's 2 or 3 there, smell him all over. And he's going to say, hell no, I'm not doing this. And you're going to say, this is exactly what you're doing. You're on the ground. They are smelling you. And then every time he tries to fight, right, I say palming a basketball hands, where you go 1 at the flank, the back, and 1 at the neck. You don't hold them down with like your palms. It's too much. You hold them down like this. And then the minute, then you lessen a millimeter. Well, when you lessen on a dog being held down, they instantly try to get up. And then you go, boop, and you put them back. It's just a barely lessening them. Boop. He is not going to want to be sniffed by all these Dobermans, have all these Dobermans above him. But who started this? Did the Dobermans start this? The Dobermans were perfect. This guy started all the smoke. So guess what this guy gets? He gets put on his side. If the Dobermans aren't going to do it, the owner's going to do it. But it's got to be done. He's got to get humbled by someone. Someone. The person needs to, and you do a double leg flip. You take 2 legs and you go flip, and the dog goes boop, and then you hold him down.
Is it like a cattle or no?
It's like those guys who jump.
Calf, right?
That's exactly what it's like. It can be. There's multiple ways to do it. You want to do it right, you do a double leg flip. I don't do a double leg flip on concrete though. Yeah, but I'll do it on grass. Boop, because they kind of go boop. And then these Dobermans, you want to bring them in. I'd say to the owner, I'd say, hey, please bring your Dobermans over here. And the Dobermans are going to stand there, and they might even stand over him. They might growl at him. They're not starting to fight these Dobermans. If they were going to fight, they would have already fought. These are the great Dobermans. And this guy is 100% of the problem. Therefore, he gets 100% of the blame, and he gets humbled. Oh, Joel, that doesn't exist. Nonsense. It's such nonsense.
Debunked.
Yeah, dominance is debunked. Oh, okay. Do what I just said and tell me when this dog. I've seen dogs get flipped. I've done it, obviously, and then have Prince stand over them. They come up a different dog. They literally stand up and they're like, everything changed. My reality just changed. Now you might have to do it a couple times. They come up 20%, 30%, 40%. This dog, I think, 30% less than before he got flipped. Then you might have to flip him again.
Yeah. So
does it make sense?
Yeah. My thought is, okay, I've got it queued up again. So imagine this guy is a human and this is 3 guys at a bar. Is this a proper way to approach or no?
Yeah. What
like,
do you think?
What's up? What's up? Let's go.
Yep. Look at that. That's a hit right there on the Doberman.
Just running up on him.
His tail's wagging its play. It's all dominance and energy meeting energy.
Would he do that to Prince?
Yeah.
What about Bosco?
I had a dog. I had this situation happen today.
What would Bosco do?
Bosco would have.
He would have
won the fight.
Bosco
doesn't lose fights. Now, dominance fights. I don't mean fights. Bosco is a different animal.
So he wouldn't have. He wanted to smoke.
He was like, okay, we'll do this and I'm going to win.
We'll do this all day.
Yeah, we'll do this all day. So that's, you want the fix for that dog. One is recall, right? So you avoid the situation. Okay, that's fine, right? You don't know how to change your dog. Great. Train a great recall. Your dog does what this dog does. This isn't play. This is, I'll bet you $1,000 this dog is not neutered. And I'm not saying to neuter your dog. I'm saying to neuter your dog when your dog acts like this. Absolutely neuter your dog. So you go, you find him and you go, okay, you think you're the biggest, baddest dude on the planet, which this dog thinks. He's not protecting the neighborhood in any way. You flip him and you humble him. That dog needs a humbling.
Remember the people on the Malinois video thought you flipped the dog?
Yes. There was a Malinois video a while ago. You probably don't remember it, viewers.
Didn't you show them that he didn't, or did we talk about that on the podcast?
No. I don't remember.
Okay. But you did not flip him for the record, though. But
no,
you are recommending flipping for this case.
Well, anybody watching this understands who's at fault. They understand that was not play. Viscerally, you go, oh, he's not being nice. They understand who's in the wrong, and they probably viscerally, including you, understand that a humbling would be the greatest thing. What are the other options? And this I do with my clients all the time. I go, okay, here's what we should do. And then I go, but let's go through all the options. We have e-collars. Here's what's going to happen with that. We have prong collars. Here's what's going to happen with that. We have all treats and shaping through approximations using positive reinforcement. And here's what's going to result from that. So how are treats going to fundamentally change this? How is positive reinforcement going to fundamentally change the way that dog feels about his status with other dogs? It's not. E-collar, maybe to train that recall, but it's not going to lessen his thinking about the other dogs. Prong collar, well, you got to have a leash on. So the humbling experience is the life-changing experience that should have been employed at that moment. So
that was hot fire.
That's the answer. I had a situation like this today. Golden retriever at Prince, and it was the exact same thing. That's one reason I want to bring that up. So, any thoughts, you guys, on that? Where did I go wrong? Tell me. I'd love to hear where. Now, the owner's not there, so I get it. But I'd love to hear where I went wrong on that.
Yeah, I think
because I didn't go wrong.
I think you're
because
right
I've trained
on the money.
400 dogs like that golden retriever, and a lot of them are golden retrievers. Just so you know.
Yeah, no, that's...
These male, not neutered or intact Goldens, there's something going on with the breeding right now in the last 10 years, 20 years.
A bit crazy.
Yeah, there's something going on with the breeding, like French Bulldogs right now. And we're going to get into merch in a minute. French Bulldogs right now are out of their minds. It is bad. They are the worst breed on the planet as we speak. There is this unbelievably high percentage of them that are aggressive and that go so hard that the only dog that can compete with the way French Bulldogs are right now are pit bulls. There's this percentage that's higher than pit bulls that say, I'm losing my mind around dogs, like no other breed.
But you said French Bulldog, right?
Yeah.
The reason for that is probably due to inbreeding, right?
It's breeding. Yeah. I don't know if it's inbreeding. I'm not a breeding expert, but I see these trends, and French Bulldogs, they're really popular. And so I think just the common thinking is when a breed gets popular, there's bad breeding, right? Because they get a lot of money. I think French Bulldogs are really expensive.
But I think generally, like if you took some breeding method and you just had one type of dog and another type of dog, it doesn't seem like it would lend itself to the craziness the way taking a brother and a sister and mating them and going on like that would create problems. And so why would that happen? Probably because they have easier access to the litter mates. And so rather than doing the right thing and going to the next, person who breeds and working together to get it done, they're just like, oh, we'll just do this. And I've heard people mention that before with other animals. And I'm like, that sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, inbreeding makes sense in your thing of well, we've got access to these animals within our house, let's just do it. The other thing is just not selecting. Even if you work with another breeder, well, he's got a crazy Frenchie, I have a crazy Frenchie. They're not related, but let's just breed them because we have those Frenchies, right? So it's not inbreeding. It's just not selective breeding for calmness and whatnot.
But even for humans, right, there's a reason that it's against the law to inbreed, right? I know against popular demand, but still it's not recommended. Yeah.
No, inbreeding would be the worst. I just am not positive that it's all inbreeding. All you have to do is take a crazy dog and breed it with a crazy dog, and you have a crazy dog. They don't have to be brother and sister, but I don't know. It could be 60% inbreeding and 40% crazy breeding, or it could be vice versa, or it could be 20/80. I don't know.
We should get a breeder on one time and ask him a bunch of breeding questions if we don't fall asleep.
That would be not great, but it'd be okay.
We think we'd lose.
Breeders are not normal people. They're very strange people, like a lot of them. There's something going on in the breeders world.
Are they inbreeding or no?
I don't know.
Are the breeders inbreeding?
Hey guys, we've got new merch. We're going to bring it up right now because it's
I don't
wild.
think they believe it.
Bro, just wait for this.
I don't think they believe it. You guys ready?
They're not
3,
ready. They're really
2,
not ready for this.
1. Look at this. Can we go bigger?
Flip it.
How do we go bigger?
Wait till you guys see this.
Look at this. Look at this. Hot fire. This is the new Beckman Unleashed podcast gear, and this is only for the pod. And so hence the logo, which is the Beckman Unleashed podcast logo. And then what is it but the greatest single picture ever taken, which is Prince pinning a pit bull from the Alpha video.
Which is like a 9-month-old video?
Yeah.
Your old video?
Million plus views.
So there it is. You want people to know that you watch this podcast and follow this channel. There it is. I like that cup.
That cup is fire, or that's a pint glass, right? And then they have a number of different colors. This hoodie looks pretty slick right here. It's a zip up hoodie. I got a gal's shirt, I believe.
You got your boy Prince on there.
But look at the joggers. I think you should get some. You were hating on the joggers. I think they're fantastic. I'm going to get you a pair of red ones
horrible
for Christmas.
I look like and you're going to look like you're going into a dojo or something.
You wear joggers though.
I do.
I see you wearing them and I'm like, that's bold.
I like that coffee cup.
That hoodie's good. The coffee cup is just fire.
The hoodie's good.
And then, so that's our new stuff. We have the Beckman All Day stuff, but this is the new stuff we want you to focus on. This is pod only stuff. So if you want to give someone a gift for Christmas, whatever holiday you support.
Beckman Unleashed, Prince pinning a dog. You want to really be representing. There it is.
And these are stickers too, stickers and decals too. So if you're all in, I added those in at the last second when you weren't looking. But yeah, these are fire. I'm gonna get one of these. I'm gonna get this one and rock it.
I want all of them.
Zip up hoodie. We should do it as a tax.
We'll get them. I'll wear them on the videos.
What do you think? So
I have to pay for them too.
Yeah, which is horrible.
which is nonsense.
So if you go, we'll leave the link if you want to get them. Who knows? If they don't do well, this might be collector's item. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see, because it takes more time than you would think. So.
That's Prince being Prince. You guys love Prince. There he is.
Beckman Unleashed.
That's
I love it. And then if we can't zoom in here so much, but if you look at it, it's all like cartoon.
Oh yeah,
like cool style. It's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, it's hard to see, but
and then,
see like it's cartoon.
What do you say to the people that go, "That's horrible"? I can't believe it. It looks like the dog's ripping the other dog's head off. What do you say to people that say that?
I go, I don't know. I've never thought about it.
You say unacceptable behavior is unacceptable.
Yeah. I mean,
you said the dog wanted smoke and it got smoke.
Yeah, he wanted to play like that, so he got it.
Yeah, although it was a girl, right?
It was a girl.
But let's not talk about that. Doesn't sound as cool when we say that. So anyways, check out the merch. Christmas is coming around. So anyways, that was a little segment there. Can you talk about breeders real quick? Why are you saying that breeders are a different type of person?
They're like show dog people. They're just, I don't know, why are salesmen a different type of person? You talk to salesmen out in the, why are realtors, bro? You ever talk
They're salesmen though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you talk to them and they go, oh, I'm a realtor. And you're like, yeah, oh yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah, it all comes together.
Pick your profession, not all of the professions.
What about car salesman?
Car salesman. I mean, even when people aren't doing their jobs, they act a certain way sometimes. I was on the phone with a client today. I was a bit much. I came on strong. I come on strong because my job is sometimes about coming on strong. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not messing around. So it bleeds into my life.
Yeah.
I am me because of that. Breeders, I don't know if they got into breeding. I don't know if breeding made them odd people. That's just how they are. I'm not saying every one of them. There's no rule.
Just like
100% rule. Yeah, it's like 95% of them are like kind of, I like Prince and Bosco's breeder.
Yeah.
They're awesome. But like
that lady who did the Bengal,
they're strange.
That she's a good breeder.
Oh, the cat breeder. I've met her once. I don't totally remember. She's cats though. We're talking dog breeders.
Yeah.
But it's their job. I don't know if cat breeders, it's probably your cat's job.
Yeah. No, anyway. So no, that's good. So can we go deeper into this French Bulldog thing or no?
Yeah.
Because I think that's what we should do for Breed of the Week.
Okay.
And then there's going to be a bunch of people that are just crying at their television set or their
they're phone. Not no? Because it's listen,
true.
You can have a great French Bulldog. You can have a normal breeder. I'm talking in generalities here. There's some French Bulldogs. I have a friend, his Frenchie, hit the front window of their car and shattered the window. Like how car windows shatter. They don't shatter. They spider web, right? Mm-hmm. I had a girlfriend. She was sitting in the front seat of my car and she kicked the window and shattered the window.
Wow.
Yeah. Like from the inside. She went bam with like these shoes and like shattered the window.
It seems like
she's like a French Bulldog.
It seems a bit out of control to do something like that.
Yeah, for a dog or a human being. So it's breeding.
So these are the French popularity, Bulldogs, right?
Yeah, and they've got an aggressive streak in them right now and a stubborn streak, which they've always had a stubborn streak, but there's more of them. The breeding is wrong, so they've added this aggression streak to them. They have the pain tolerance, 40 pounds probably. They have the pain tolerance of any dog. It's as high as any dog. They have actual hard heads. So I always say they're hard-headed and they have hard heads. Their heads are literally super hard. So they'll launch into things like a pit bull.
I think they don't know how small they are.
That's not true about pit bulls. Oh, have you trained 100 of them?
Yeah.
Like I've trained enough to know they just launch into things.
They just don't seem to know how small they are.
Yeah, that's true. Right? They think they're a bigger dog.
They are a nice looking dog though, huh? Some of them. I like this. Like, what is this color? Is that like a brindle or what?
I don't know.
Like, what is that color? That's
I don't
pretty
know
cool.
The colors.
That's pretty snazzy though.
So
They're expensive,
They're
right?
tough, and I think they're expensive. And isn't it right? They can't give normal birth.
Yeah.
Pugs and them. So it's time. Might be time to eliminate a breed when they can't breed themselves. 1,500 to 3,000. That's a normal.
It's not cheap. How much is a
number.
Doberman? Can I look that up?
I would say it's the same.
Is that just like
where you get them from? So
15 to 25.
That's my French Bulldog breed of the week. They're out of their minds, people.
How tall are they?
Be careful. I saw a big one about a month ago. That was giant, but like Norfolk. No, I can't think of a movie that they've been in that anyone can.
So where do they rank? Remember last week when Garrett, it's a good segue. Garrett Wing was on the podcast. He basically went scorched earth on why people should not get Cane Corsos. Remember that?
Yeah.
So where are you in that spectrum of people not getting those dogs?
They shouldn't get them. If you find a breeder and you go, okay, you didn't find them on a website because you don't know what's going on from a website or an Instagram account. They can bring the puppies in the house and take pictures, then take the puppies back to the outdoor kennel, which is the worst place besides a field that a dog should be born and raised, and then take pictures in the house. They should not fly the dog to you because that means you did not go to the house. You can do your research and get probably a good dog. But if you're not sure, if you haven't been to the house, if you don't see the reviews, by the way, reviews on Yelp for a breeder are very strange. You should not follow. The only thing you can do is go to the breeder's house and go, oh, okay, yeah, you don't need to be rude because they can maybe move on and sell their dogs to someone who's not rude. But you go, oh yeah, where were they housed? And they're like, in that room over there. And you're like, okay, you don't necessarily need to see the room, but you better look in the backyard to see if there's an outdoor kennel there. And maybe people don't understand that. Dogs, the worst thing you can do, and this happens all the time, is they got a bunch of dogs, maybe puppies, maybe a bunch of adults, and they're in an outdoor kennel barking all day. Do you know how bad that is for a puppy in the first 8 weeks of life? It's so bad. They're never normal. And this dog, there's no room for error. That's kind of my point. You want a good one? Everything has to be done well. You want a good pit? I'm not saying there's no good pits out there that were born in fields, but you want to make sure you got a good one. Everything needs to be done well. That's where French Bulldogs are at right now. They're out of their minds. Not everyone.
But why buy when shelter animals die?
That's a big argument. And I would say, why have children when you can adopt a child? Because some people want to raise something from 8 weeks of life, in this case, and not be rolling the dice on behavior.
So you're saying you're an evil man, is what you're saying?
Some people think that, yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
So that's my French Bulldog spiel. Be careful, people.
And they could give the $3,000 to some other thing that someone else wants them to give it to, right?
What do you mean?
Like I was watching this Facebook thing about this $18 million house that was sold in Hawaii, and the person was like, "Why didn't they give it back to the native Hawaiians?" And I thought, well, that's a weird thing to say, because I was like, because they probably didn't want to, right? It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But you see my point about $3,000.
Oh, why not adopt a dog and give
then
your
give the money
away?
away? Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, people, how do I say this?
Say it nicely,
Be
Joel.
careful about do-gooders. Okay? Be careful. You see somebody that is like, oh, I want to go do this. That's all. Be careful about that. There's sometimes a really kind of bad thing behind that.
They're like evil behind the scenes. Or they're covering up. They're making a smoke screen.
It's sometimes you want to do good in your life. Do the best job you can do at your job. There's spirituality and goodness in doing your job well. How about making your bed every morning, every single day? There's spirituality and other good things in that? How about being the best parent you can be? People are like, I go build houses in wells in Africa. And by the way, I yell at my kid all day.
Well, you can't.
How
blame
about
them
you
for that,
don't
right?
yell at your kid all day and you don't go build wells in? You're doing more for the world if you don't yell at your kid every day.
But it's so tempting.
It's so tempting because it's easier, and you can tell people that. You can't tell people I'm a good father, but you can tell people you go build wells and you will, and they do.
But the kids that you build wells for in Africa, they're not going to drive you nuts like your kids can drive you nuts. There's a special ability
That's a
that
good
they
point.
can get you under that skin in a way that
That's a
only
good
your
point.
flesh and blood.
It's harder to not yell at your kid all day. That's my point.
Yeah.
It's harder to be a good husband or be a good wife. That's hard.
What do you think about this? We're going
and building wells. It is hard, but it's not as hard as the other things.
It's also kind of not that efficient either, is it? Like,
yeah,
there's probably some strong people that can build a well like somewhere closer than here, right?
Yeah. And go build wells if after you're a great parent and a great husband and you've actually influenced the people that are close to you in life, after you've been this great role model. Because if you have children, like, they're going to go out in the world. You screw them up, you're screwing up way more than not building wells. Well, you're messing up the world way more than not building wells.
I think there's like a misunderstanding, like in the American population about hunger, and especially hunger in Africa and other places. They think like, well, just send them some food. But it's like, Africa is not just it's just not a street corner. You don't just like send, 400 hamburgers there and then you're done. Like, they're spread across the entire continent, which is it's the biggest continent, isn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Giant.
It's giant. I'm sure it's the biggest, right? So like, it's the logistics of how do you get all the food to all the people, and then how do you get it over and over and over? It's like impossible.
Yeah, but I mean,
the wells are the same way.
That doesn't mean you. I'm. It's a nice thing to do, but the people doing it, generally speaking, are not focusing on the stuff that actually makes the world better, which is the people close to them. I've seen it, dude. I know these.
You're an evil man.
I know these folks, and they're like all these rich. They're close to me. I'll just say that, okay? And they go, they went somewhere to an island, and then they're like, we all brought all these clothes, and we presented, and it was like all this money, and so the islanders came out and they did like a show for all these people, and then they all brought all this stuff, and they like presented it to the children, like, here's our clothes our kids grew out of, children. And it's like this big thing, and all the rich people that went were just like, and they came back and they told us about it, and we brought all these clothes to our, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, how about you fix your own issues in your own family, and then we can and then you can present like you're the savior of these poor children.
But when they give them, money, or the whether it's money or gifts or clothing to the kids, like, do they want the kids to bow down?
Yes. Dude, it's like,
but
they don't see it. They're like, we're
think about how grandiose
the white people
this
show up and give this.
Think about how grandiose that is.
They're
like,
so grandiose.
You show up and you're basically
that's exactly what
like you get. Like, imagine you're going to do something really solid for, just let's say it's in America, and there's a kid who you're going to pay for his college, right? And let's say that, I mean, college is super expensive. Let's just say it was only $50,000, but $50,000. So you can't just go to that kid and be like, hey, I believe in you, and I'm going to give you this 50,000. I'm going to monitor the money and make sure that it goes to your school. But like, I got college taken care of for $50,000. Okay. We're not going to talk about it. We're just going to do it. Right. Versus I'm going to like call the mayor. Right. And we're going to talk about it on, KUSI news.
Right.
And then the poor kid has to be like dragged around everywhere like a damn circus, because everyone has to know that you gave him that money. And then you got to put it on Facebook and Instagram.
Tell
and then
you
just about it. Screwed up your whole nice thing you were going to do.
It's not nice anymore.
Yeah. Now it's an
you technically played for the kid, but You did it for all the wrong reasons.
But you extracted every bit of ego boosting you could, right?
Yeah.
And I bet there's some people that are listening to this that this is just
they have no idea what we're talking about.
It's tearing their heart out.
They're like, going, wait. I did that, and I gave the poor kids the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you tell anybody about it? All right. The spirituality in it is gone the minute you told anybody about it. The spirituality in it is gone the minute you felt bad for them and you decide to give them your junk.
Yeah. As soon as you try to like stop someone on the street and buttonhole them, as we said in podcast 25, right? If you have to buttonhole everyone and tell them about how great you are because you gave this money to somebody, like you're really just totally self-absorbed.
It's all gone. It's the goodness was not for the goodness.
Yeah. And you want to do nice things and not get caught, right?
Listen, that's what you want to do. And it's not easy. I get it.
There was a guy.
I have some strong opinions on this, obviously.
Clearly, we both do. But there's this guy that I follow who you know about, who's like a really strong YouTube discipline guy. And we're on this like consistency and discipline kick that you just kind of mentioned a minute ago. But this guy, the guy said to him in the comments, yeah, you're doing good, but you know what you could do better is like you could give money to charity. And I actually went in there and I was like, how the hell do you know what he does for charity?
Exactly.
And hopefully, and if he's good, then he wouldn't even be, if he really understands the point of it, he wouldn't be trying to talk about it.
Yes, that's exactly right, dude.
So it's like, oh.
And my point, yes, talking about things you do is not great. My point is, as soon as I see the person who is being the father and the husband or the wife and the mother and the brother and the sister that takes time and energy to do it, and it takes humility, and it takes all these things, and it takes time and like hardship to become that human being, and you're honest with people around you and you do your job well, then go maybe do this stuff because you have extra energy, extra time, and extra money. But most of the people who are working hard on their immediate circle to make the world a better place, it's a lot of time spent just being that human being.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
You're talking, so before you were talking about the consistency piece about making your bed every day, basically doing the hard, simple things. And I think it ties into training. Interestingly, there was somebody, I think from the Garrett Wing podcast who, and I could be wrong on where I read it, but I believe that's what it was from. And they were saying how, I'm sure they'll chime in the comments, but it was something to the effect of like, oh, everyone rides my horse or sees my horse and it's like, I want a horse. And they're like, you have no idea how much training went into making this horse, as well as like life commitment to horses in general, and understanding that they think they can just jump in and buy a horse and that like, it's going to be the same way when it won't be.
Right. And so I guess the point is like the stuff we're talking about of like being a good father, being a good husband, like it's going to suck time. And then if you have extra time, great. If you don't, like, don't get that horse because the horse takes work.
Oh, but I think the thing is they think, but yeah, the hard part about animals in general, right, is adopting them is the easiest part. Paying for them is easy, right? It's the day in and day out. That's where it becomes tough. Just like having kids isn't hard, but when it's, I was explaining this to my wife a long time ago, but I was like, it's not, having a kid is not hard to the extent of like, of course, everyone who doesn't have kids understands what it's like. But when it's 15 days in a row and they're not sleeping and they're screaming and you know that you're the only one that can get up and help them and you don't want to, that's when you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like that's soul crushing. I have to get up and do it. Right.
It's single, childless people. They don't even live in the same world as us.
It sounds so bad though.
It's true.
You need to say it differently.
They live close to the world, but it's a different world. The priorities are different.
How have you changed as a person from when you were childless to when you were childless?
I'll tell you, my daughter was born 14 years ago, and she was tiny. She was 5 pounds 3 ounces, which is literally that long. It might look big in the camera. It's a really small child.
I think you might
2
be
of my kids were born
underestimating
like that. Underestimating or over?
Under.
Okay, maybe. Okay,
They're probably like 16 inches is probably a 5-pound baby.
all right,
6 pound
that
baby.
long, small little kid, and I
Yeah.
was like, "We're gonna drive home with this thing."
Yeah.
I was like, I'm terrified. Anything happens, this thing is not living.
Yeah.
It's the most helpless thing I've ever seen in my life. And it's very important that this thing stays alive. And I don't know, this is really, I'm like anything could happen. So we have the child, we get the child home.
You
and
kept
then
it.
we kept it.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
We kept the child. And then you just go, oh, and then over the years, I have 2 more kids, and you realize how much more important they are than anything else.
Yeah.
They're more important than any animal. They're more important than my life. They're vastly more important than my life. I would like to live if the child is under threat, but I understand that I may not live if that happens, and that would suck. But them living 80 more years is vastly more important than me living 30 more years. And I essentially would die spiritually at the moment when I chose to not do everything to have that child live. I would die at that moment anyway.
For all 3 of your kids.
Yeah, I would die mentally and spiritually at the moment when I said, I'm not going to jump into that river, or I'm not going to get in the way of that bullet, or whatever the case may be. And there's many, right, that I go through in my head.
Yeah.
Carjacked at a gas station, right? Kids in the back. Like, you got to go through these scenarios. You die either way. So you might as well go out and the other one live.
Would you end up like, if something did happen, which God forbid, knock on wood, of course, but would you be like that guy from Benicio del Toro from Sicario?
Oh, bro.
Like, would you dedicate your life like that?
I've thought of that. I just don't have the skills. Like,
you need to work on it.
I know. You're right. That's a good point, actually. You got to work on that. But Sicario, if you haven't seen it, top 5 best movies ever.
When this pod started,
I got the chills. We're talking about
he
it.
does. He does have the chills. So
the ending scene.
When the pod started, I had not watched it. And then I flew to Maui in
we talked about
August.
It in the first episode.
And then Joel, this is how brilliant Joel is. And I would never give Joel credit for being brilliant until this moment. I got it on my laptop. On my laptop. I was having trouble with it because I have screen record, so we can see because of Apple, it's a pain in the butt. Anyways, it wouldn't let me watch the iMovie because, or whatever you want to call it, because of the screen record. So I was like, oh, I don't get to watch it. So I'm texting Joel, I think I can watch this thing. He's like, it's not like, it's okay.
Right.
And he'd been ranting about how great it was. And I was like, it's just okay. Crap. And so then I get it working. I'm
on the plane
flying. And then I'm like halfway through it. And I'm like, even if it sucks at the end, this is so good. I'm just happy.
Yeah.
And then it got better and better. And then Benicio del Toro and all that. And what's his name? Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. The whole thing. And then I was like, bro, that's a good movie. And you're like, I know. I just didn't want, like, I had to play the little okie doke on you so that you thought it wasn't going to be good.
Yeah.
You
have to do it with movies.
You
can't say it's the greatest movie ever, because if it's the greatest movie ever, they go, yeah, that was a great movie. Like, movies are the one thing you can't say it's the great. You can't oversell it, because it's just how it works.
How about with
mentally
series? Can you you can't do it with that either.
That's TV. I'm the same thing.
I know, but like
The Sopranos is
you have to sell it though, because they won't watch it.
That's the line you're walking.
There's the movie thing, but then there's a difference. Like, okay, watch this movie. You think about people you love in your life, and think about, like, do they say they love you, but would they even watch a freaking movie for you?
Nah, most people don't.
They'd be like, I'm not watching that movie.
No, if they want to watch it, they'll watch it.
Yeah.
But like with me, like now you'll watch the stuff I say because I proved it right.
No, the stakes are high.
Yeah. Yeah, because they may never listen to again.
Yeah. So real quick, back on the consistency piece. So like you talked about the bed. You talked about making it your bed, right? The trainers that are the best in the country, right? They are pretty darn consistent, right? They're the level of commitment to getting to where, right?
Yeah.
You had a consistency with your business, with the things that you've done. The one thing you've been in your life, right, is consistent as it relates to training animals.
Yeah.
Like there's never been like a 5-year gap where you're like, I'm just kind of not going to train those animals for a while.
Yeah. Garrett Wing said timing is the greatest thing. You would say consistency, maybe.
Yeah, well, no, but I think timing is a skill within developed from consistency.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, consistency is important in training.
But I liked what he said about the time or about the timing, because imagine hitting that e-collar.
Yeah.
And like the dog does something and like 30 seconds later, you're like, and it's like, dude, what was I looking at?
E-collars, that's where he's coming from, by the way, with timing, is e-collar training.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything. I mean, it's everything. My deal, or shaping behavior with a clicker. Timing is everything. In my world, timing is not a leash correction. Timing is everything. In my world, timing is not everything. Right? Yeah. Or an e-collar correction. Any correction is, or any reinforcement is.
Mm-hmm.
But with the clicker, you don't need to you need to time the clicker. You don't need to time the reinforcement. Oh, the clicker is for reinforcement. It's secondary reinforcement. It's derived its value from the primary reinforcement that it comes with, if you ever want to know about clicker training, which we can get into.
I have a question.
I like it. I like talking about it.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I was listening to a podcast.
Are we off my do-gooder rant? Because that was
fire.
I went crazy for a minute. I kind of went crazy. And people are like, what? People who build wells are bad? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying most of them haven't done the real work. And so check your motives is all I'm saying.
It's kind of like the Jordan Peterson thing where he says, like, you have to first, make your bed, clean your room, right? But then it's like you don't try to fix your community until you fix your home first.
There it is.
And
did he say that?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Then he says but then it's like, because what it was over, the girl who was talking to him live was saying, like, my life is not okay because of global warming and climate change and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so now we're gonna get this like thing.
Marked
on our podcast because we said that. But anyways, so then he said, like, that's your biggest problem? And she was like, well, yeah. And he's like, no, like, you need to first focus on your house, on you, then your house, then your community, then you can start worrying about your county, then your state, then your country, then the world.
Yes.
Like, but you have to build and prove as you go.
You're not capable of making a change as it gets farther out from you. Your ability to change anything goes drastically down. I have influence over my children the most, my family, and
but
then
your wife to a lesser degree.
My wife to a lesser, definitely a lesser degree. She was on the earth 30 years, 27 years before she ever met me. She was already her person.
Mm-hmm.
Then my employees, my clients, like, that's my circle of influence. And once it leaves there, the pod to a much less degree, my viewers, and then it just goes to nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see depending on how the merch goes.
Yeah, we'll see if they like it. If they like me. No, I'm kidding. You don't have to buy merch to like me. So there we go.
Yeah, no, I think that's okay. Now I probably totally lost the question. Oh no, I remember it again. The one, because you went on a little scorched shirt thing. So question was about two podcasters that I heard, and they are loosely maybe considered friends of the channel, maybe not, who knows, but they're top tier dog trainers talking, and they made a comment, and I listened to the whole podcast. I thought it was interesting. They were talking about two things. One was about like, you kind of have to listen to certain dog trainers to really be legit, right?
Oh yeah.
That was one of the pieces. And then the other piece was just like about kind of what I would consider like continuing education. Like, how much more education do you need, especially from external sources, if you are working with the dogs all the time?
What did they say?
they were saying they are always searching for.
I know, I saw that.
But my thought was
It's Robert Cabral and who?
Larry Crone.
And Larry Crone, both of who I like. And I saw part of that. Someone directed me to that. I didn't see the part where you said where. Oh no, I did see a little bit of continue. I agree with. I like those guys, and I agree with those guys
But
on almost everything.
Larry Crone seemed to be. Maybe it's just he's passionate. Maybe that he's
That's the way it came through to me.
To the dog training, but it seemed like maybe I'm just lazy. I'd be like,
you.
Yeah, like this is tiring. Like
no, I saw that he's. It came across as passion to me.
Like okay, so
he's
just
like I'm always learning.
Yeah,
I'm always watching. And then Robert Cabral said, I watch all like dog training content or something like that. He's like, there's not like on YouTube, I think.
But you watch way less.
Yeah. How old are Robert Cabral's kids? I don't know. I don't know. I don't watch a ton. I don't watch hardly
kids?
any
I don't know
dog training. Kids. I don't know.
I know Larry Crone does because he talks about it in the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
they're both passionate guys. That's why I like them.
Yeah, life situation is obviously going to drive some of that. If you're
a lot of different variables,
but even just having wife, 3 kids, like if you're involved in sports and other type of stuff, it's very hard to.
I could watch more YouTube dog training stuff. The thing about it is, okay, am I going to learn? I know shaping through positive reinforcement. I know it like the back of my hand. I know bridging. I know variable reinforcement schedules. I could talk to you. I would love to talk about it all day. I know everything about it. I know as much as anybody out there, the Force Free folks. Okay. So could I learn more? I suppose maybe is the juice worth the squeeze on me watching it? Okay. How about e-collar training? There are things e-collars are good for. I've said that. Do I want to go down that road? I think I have almost as good of a method to train a recall as e-collars without an e-collar. Okay. So is the 10% that I can improve my recall method worth it? I have Invisalign in and I feel like I'm slurring. Is the 10%?
That's a great commercial for Invisalign.
Yeah. Is the 10% better? 10% improvement, worth the learning curve? I don't know. How about prong call? Like, the thing I do with Prince and me and helping dogs and the very specific stuff I do, I'm not sure who I'm going to watch. And I don't think that's an argument to not watch it. I'm not sure who I'm going to watch that's going to be worth the time. And I'm not saying I'm great. I don't do the stuff a lot of these guys do, and they don't do what I do.
Yeah.
Like if they wanted to do what I do and use a helper dog, I would be the one to watch.
Yeah.
But I don't think they should. If they don't want to do that, why are you watching me?
It reminds me of the saying about like, are you looking for results or methods? Right? Like, are you looking?
That's a saying.
Yeah, more or less. It's from like 100 years ago. But basically, the idea is like, do you want me to give you the results? Or are you concerned with the methods I use to get the results? Now, granted, all else being equal, right? That it's nothing crazy. Like someone might challenge the use of e-collars or other prong collars, like we're talking about. But in general, right? If your method works, right, and it's highly effective,
yes,
and you have a certain method that you've developed over 15 years, now, can you change your method? I think you can, but you have to start thinking about what is the purpose to get a similar result with a different path than I'm already using? Like you have to believe that this new path would take you there in a better way than your current path.
Right.
Or you were just wasting your time.
Right. I could watch more YouTube or read more about training and improve as a trainer. That is true.
You're being lazy.
Where's how much improvement?
Yeah.
Tell me that.
So
because I got a lot to do.
So I was inspired based on your
I have children to raise. And I'm not talking to those guys. They have children to raise. I like both those guys as much as I like any dog trainer on YouTube.
Yeah, that's a interesting part about podcasting is you can be talking about something and then talk about something else, and then people think you're talking about
it's crazy.
Just talking about. So I was inspired by your pyramid of death or whatever you want to call it about the dog trainers. I forgot what the one we were talking about last week, which was like
the dog trainer hierarchy.
The dog trainer hierarchy. And so I did my own, but more from a life perspective and trying to think about like what is the bottom, not necessarily the least important. It's more like the structure that's built, right? So I did a little bit of that. Like,
okay, go ahead.
Maybe it's like spirit. So maybe on the bottom it'd be spirituality is kind of the
at the bottom.
No, it's not the bottom. It's the base. It's a pyramid.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like
you're like this is
toss it off, right? No, so it'd be like your higher power, whether that's God or whatever, right? And then your other maybe like core belief systems that kind of hold the bottom of it. And then you could argue whether health or family, what order that is.
Yeah,
There's,
I agree.
if you're dead, you're probably not too good of use. And so you do have to be, so let's just say family is higher than, or sorry, lower on the base.
Good.
Yeah. Lower on the base, right? So it's like, what would you have? You'd have family, or let's say you'd have wife, you'd have kids, you'd have parents, and then you'd have like extended family and maybe friends, right? That would be on the next level.
Yeah.
Then as you move forward, then it was like, health. So you'd have like your physical fitness, right? Maybe include nutrition. Then you add in your emotional health. You could really, health is a bad one because you could like rattle off a million things that are health, like emotional health, financial health. But let's just stick with that. And then from there, then it goes to more like career / finances. True. So it's like career,
actual
money. So those are all in there. Like career's different, right? And then like as you get toward the top, it's like enrichment, right?
Oh, like happiness.
No, more like things you're doing. So like that would be like traveling, camping, things that you do with your family, like surfing, right? These things that you do. So you build this pyramid, right? But then you start looking at, these are the things that are important to me. Well, why the hell am I screwing around on TikTok all day? Yeah. Where is this in alignment? Just like with your point about developing as a dog trainer, like how does that fit in this hierarchy of what's important to you in your life?
That's a good point.
I think it doesn't, right? To some degree.
Well, it doesn't. And I by no means know everything. I also spent time as a killer whale trainer and as a exotic animal trainer. And like, so the work, I think it was heavy on work put in early.
Yeah.
Right. To where I can maybe goof around now, not because I know everything, but like, I don't know. But all of those good trainers, they all were like heavy on work early.
Yeah.
Because how the heck are you not getting, I guess your business grows slowly. You're slowly building. Like my business did not grow slowly. For a variety of reasons, not because I was the greatest thing ever, but there was some weird things that happened with partnerships with giant places.
Yeah.
So I just started doing 5 group classes a week within a year of my business opening, which is insane.
You just got rolling.
Yeah. They weren't in a park. They were at 2 different places and at 8 different places. Yeah. Anyway. There was, I think, a lot of work early, a lot of unique work early with the killer whale stuff. I had to be a good shaper of behavior early on. And then I kind of, I don't want to say checked it off the list, but like I know it. Okay. Yeah. Time to move on. Okay. Now I did the helper dog thing. Okay. That's 15 years of that learning. Okay. Now I could jump to the e-collar thing. I could jump to the prong collar thing. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, also, if you think about judging dog trainers, like you love to say proof is in the pudding, right? So it's like, okay, Joel, I've got this Presa Canario. It's super aggressive and reactive. Bringing them to your house, and you're going to take that dog, and you're getting it.
Sucks already,
but you're going to get it. You in this case were able to get it 50% better in one session.
Common.
Now, maybe I bet there's other folks like we just talked about, maybe Larry Crone, Robert Cabral, Garrett Wing, some of these folks that they could probably get it a certain percentage. Maybe that's 30, maybe it's 60. We don't know. But either way, there's major impact done in one session. So it's not like, so that's why it reminds me of that email. And we should read that email that you were talking about that you received.
All right.
Because it makes you think about if you're getting massive results in under an hour.
I know what you're getting at.
I
mean, I like what those two, and we're talking about those 2 guys, we're now just bringing it back. I like the whole, I'm freaking still knees deep or neck deep in this thing.
There's another term too.
Knees deep. I'm neck deep in this dog training thing and it never stops. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But if you just like, so what's funny is if
I'm neck deep in my clients.
Yeah.
I'm neck deep in the dogs in my facility.
Yeah. You're immersed in this.
I'm not neck deep in
other people's techniques.
And yeah.
Yeah. So what's funny is I was talking to my boss like a week or two ago, and he's a high level guy, right? And he was saying how what he can do today, he can do so much faster than he could. He said, I remember meeting with like the head of this like corporation, and they were trying to get things ready for like the board. And they're spending hours and hours and hours. And he's like, today I can just like put that down in 15 minutes.
Right.
I can write that up. Yeah.
He's there.
He's a master at that. And
he's
so
done it enough.
Yeah. So he put the work in early in his life, so much so that like he knows exactly what he's doing. He's on autopilot, as we talked about on the second session of this. The second podcast was about the unconscious competence, right? He's at that high level. So I think that's where you're at, where you're like, okay.
For some things, if I wanted to train agility, I would not be at that level, but I don't want to. If I were to train bite work, I would not be at that level. And that's where it's funny. Like I had this one bite work guy, he took it off. He said something about me during a live, and then somebody got the URL or whatever it's called, the link.
It's like unlisted.
Then he took it off. He totally took the live off, but they had the link, which is insane that the person had the link. And so they shared it with me, and I watched it. He's a bite work guy talking about me. He doesn't do what I do.
Yeah.
He has no idea what I do.
Yeah.
He might be good at what he does. He has no idea what I do, which is why he took it off. Another trainer did this. Another trainer, everybody knows, said something about me. Someone sent me the link. I went to look for it. Actually, the person who sent it to me said, oh, he took it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy doesn't do what I do.
Which is kind of a compliment, right? When someone like runs their mouth and they're like, oh, wait, I'm deleting this.
Yeah. They probably thought about it and they go, I don't do what this guy does. Yeah. Why would I do this? This is a bad look. When have you heard me talk about agility trainers, bite work trainers, Schutzen trainers, rally obedience trainers?
What's the show dog trainer stuff called?
Show dog trainers.
Okay.
Oh, confirmation. It's not my world.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think it's confusing, because people go, well, who's the best dog trainer on YouTube?
Oh, like, that's true.
It's like, for what? Right. What is your end goal?
None of us do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I work with dog on dog aggression more than anybody in the country, would be my guess. That's my thing. If you had to pick a thing, I have a leash method that's unique. I have a recall method that's unique. I have a dog on people reactivity method that out of the circle of trust, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But dog on dog aggression is my thing. Who else is that their thing?
And it's also funny because even though people might think that Dog Daddy's thing is that, he generally
that's dog on people.
He's working more with just the dog and him, or his dog and his owner.
A totally different thing.
He doesn't have an actual dog there to
no, he's got good dogs, but like, it's not his thing. And none of these guys, we don't have the same thing.
Yeah.
It's silly to...
And then there's some guys...
It's silly to criticize.
That they don't even have a thing. They're at the bottom or the bottom two tiers of your hierarchy.
Pyramid. They got their dogs and
they talk about
around and they talk and they...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. Yeah. So you're starting to build a little bit of a relationship with different dog trainers. And you seem to have somewhat nice things to say about several in the field. And it's funny too, because we're learning more about the dog trainers through this podcast, right? So I would say, obviously, we've had Dog Daddy on here, obviously, Garrett Wing on here. I saw a ton of people in the comments are saying Larry Crone, Robert Cabral,
Tom Davis.
That's
the deal.
And they're saying Cesar Millan. Let's be clear on that too. But if you were to add those up, those are, or even you include yourself as far as like what people are watching that are talking in the comments, it's 90+% are those people.
Yeah.
And then Ivan as well. Yeah. There's a lot of him being thrown around. He seems like to be and I know nothing about this guy other than I watch a couple of his videos, is like, he's like the dog trainer, as I would call it. Like people that are dog trainers like to watch him. So I don't know. You know, take that, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Joel.
Yeah. Yeah. He, I think he did like, I don't know a lot about him. I think he, like a lot of, I don't know.
he
He has a
did
lot of
show dog
trophies.
stuff.
He has a lot of
I think
trophies.
he did show dog stuff. That's what I thought.
No. He didn't do show dog stuff.
No?
No, it was like,
Maybe
it
I'm
was
spreading
something
rumors.
else. I'm just not watching a lot of videos.
Yeah. But the point about like, what's your end goal, right?
My daughter is a competitive sponsored surfer.
Yeah.
At 14.
It's pretty good.
I got places to go. I got a job to do. I got to make money, and I have a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
I have a marriage to nurture and to make better and to make as perfect as I can get it, so that I am, and her and my kids are the happiest, most fulfilled people on this earth. That's my goal. And I've been thinking about that lately. Like it takes time to do that, and then to travel around for surfing, and then to coach my son in football, and to do this. I'm not making excuses, I don't think. Maybe I am. I don't know.
Maybe you're lazy.
Maybe I'm just too lazy. I try to get, I like sleep. I like 7 hours. I like 8 hours.
Yeah.
But I lay in bed and watch The Office until I go to bed.
Again, still?
Every night. Wow. My kids looked it up. They said that when you as a person like watch the same thing, it's called something.
Called an addiction.
Okay, there's some word for it though, because the same thing. It's not an addiction. And I watch it on my phone, and I watch The Office, and I just go through, and I stop at season 5. It gets bad at season 5. The Office actually is one of the best shows ever, and it becomes one of the worst shows ever, which is weird.
Worst show is a bold statement.
Bro, have you watched the final? It's unwatchable. The final 3 seasons of The Office are unwatchable. It's a shell of what it was, and so I can't watch it. So I stop, then I just watch it through again, and I just lay there, and I know exactly what's going to happen. Now, maybe that's my point, is I should be reading a dog training book without time. That's probably true.
Who's your favorite character?
They're all great. I mean,
yeah, but that's not an answer on a podcast. We're on a podcast here.
It's genius. The Jim character is genius. The Pam character is genius. The Dwight character is genius. The Michael character is super genius. They're genius. They're genius at their jobs.
Dwight's so good. It's
Steve
so
Carell,
well done.
It might be the best like acting job ever. Like to carry a series. It's like Tony Soprano. It's like it's all carried by you. Like if you mess, it's like being a quarterback. Like people want to doubt professional quarterbacks.
Yeah.
The whole team is on your back. Can you handle that?
Yeah.
Most 95% of the population would crumble.
Yeah. You know why it's so good?
You want to be on YouTube and you want to take heat? It's hard.
Yeah. You know it's funny.
Be careful what you wish for.
If you think about The Office, right, and you think about the reason it's good, is a lot of it is because you had really good characters. There's so many good characters that you have to go like, okay, Jim's a great character, right? Whatever, Steve Carell's a great character. Dwight's a good character. The guy who steals money or whatever, that guy's a good. They're all
the
great.
writing. So
all together, but like it wasn't like what was the other show? Yellowstone. No, Yellowstone, where like
great.
Some of them you just like they couldn't get in. Like they're just not building in enough characters. Like so you're just kind of like.
Well, Greg Daniels, the creator of that show, he's not the creator, but he's a genius. I heard an interview. I'm like
of Yellowstone
of The Office.
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, he's a genius comedy writer. Anyway, enough about The Office.
You know, last thing I want to say on The Office though is I went to the Improv one time. I knew a guy who was performing at the Real Improv up in LA, and he was the guy who wrote that. What was the guy? Ryan or something? He's on the show.
Yeah, he's a writer and a co-producer. Yeah, Ryan's character.
Actually super funny.
He's super funny.
All he did was sit there with a briefcase and a trash can, and he would read his joke, and then he would either put it in the briefcase or he would put it in the trash can. And then sometimes people would like boo his joke.
Yeah.
And he put it back in the briefcase.
Yeah,
it was
funny.
It was great.
Yeah. He's great.
So what do you want to do? You want to do comments? What are you up to? What do you want to do?
Comments.
Are we missing anything?
No. we'll see.
Did
Let's
we
just
cover
jump
everything?
into Garrett Wings performance while you're finding comments.
How about apologies before we get into comments?
By the way, I want to say something about The Office. I watch like 5 minutes of it, then I fall asleep. Just so everyone knows.
So
I
we're
don't
clear.
watch it. Like it literally puts me to sleep, and that's like comforting. And then I
Hmm.
hit off, and then I put my phone down, and I fall asleep.
Oh, you watch it on your phone?
Yeah. I just set my phone. TV is like too much. It's like, yeah, I watch on my phone. And I just lay there and I watch 5 minutes of it, and I know what's going to happen, so I just fall asleep. It's like my sleep aid. Garrett Wings last. Apologies.
I have an apology.
Go ahead.
I want to apologize for these comments because unfortunately I've read a lot of them, screenshot a lot of them, and there's a lot of the same stuff being said. So I'll do my best to skim through it. But I guess like there's a theme within the podcast when everyone is pretty much saying the same thing, which was all good stuff. But
right.
How about you? You have an apology?
No, I have no apologies from last week. We already did Breed of the Week. You want me to read that email?
How about we do some positive comments and then people that want to stick around?
Oh yeah, the person is not happy with me.
Mark Har, I believe. Mark Arbit, whatever. 2 of the dog trainers that have helped me the most. Now we need to see Larry Crone and Robert Cabral make an appearance. We just talked about that. Elias says, best podcast so far, in my opinion. Love to hear 2 absolute legends talk about their expertise, but also some random stuff. There's 2 here. Enjoy the Poor. Best podcast ever. A lot of this. But best podcast ever. I love both of your training skills and never miss an episode. MBL High Jump says the collab I always wanted. Excited for the conversation. Sounds like he didn't even listen to it yet. Let me throw a few more at you. Lady Lorak. Love this podcast. I found Joel about 3 to 4 weeks ago. Made it my mission to watch every video from oldest to newest. How you like that?
Yeah.
Just caught up now. Joel, you are a pure, amazing, and inspiring person and dog trainer from a UK single mom fan with a 5-month-old Cocker Spaniel.
Great.
She watched every video, oldest to newest.
It's possible.
Podcast or all your videos?
I don't know. It's a lot of time. That's good.
That's insane.
All right, you want to hear from someone who hates me?
Yeah, and then we'll get back to some positive stuff.
Can I say? I'm going to say his name.
I wouldn't do that.
Why?
Just because you don't want to reward bad behavior with people like,
dude, that's not a reward.
It is.
Okay.
Though.
This person, Jerry, says he emailed me. He hates me so much. He emails me.
That's such a straight.
The wild session with young people and dog reactive German Shepherds is the title of the email. I think he's referring to the Breaking Point video that has like almost 1 million views.
It's going fast.
800,000 views. Because the owners of that dog were young people and the reactive German Shepherd. That's what I think he says. Watching this and wonder, do you really help people or just always make problems bigger and worse than they are? You're so squirrely and nervous yourself. I'd take this video down with embarrassment. Jumping back, throwing your arms up in the air, and pulling your arms back to a puppy with uncertainty. You robbed these people of a chance for real information and problem solving. 10 thumbs down on this one. I'm yet to see you effectively offer useful advice in any of the videos I've seen. I hope you gain some credibility and knowledge at some point. This is clearly the wrong line of work. I'm sorry, just sad. So it's an interesting email. It seems very personal. Like if you can say things about my video, but to be like, you've never done anything good ever seems like there's an agenda more than it's like actually a dog training. Like,
you know, could be somebody who's jealous. I mean, if we want to go by the numbers on this one, assuming it's the one he's talking about, it's only doing like 39 times better than normal, has 728,000 views so far in only 23 days and has gained 754 subscribers. So yeah, I mean, it clearly is, you should be embarrassed and take it down, Joel.
Yeah. So I think it's probably a force-free person would be my guess, right? They don't always fall. They hate you as a person, and that's the way they go, right? They don't go with like an argument. A lot of times they go with like, you're a horrible person. And they're going to try to go that way on you.
Yeah.
That's what I would guess that person is. if it was normal criticism, it's normal criticism. There seems to be something very personal in there, right? Like it's like
It's weird
some
too.
of the wording is weird.
It's weird too, though, because the likes to dislikes, 98% of the people like that video.
This guy
compared
doesn't
to
like
dislike.
it. Throwing your so you 10 thumbs down. I'm yet to see. Okay,
He has 10 thumbs.
this is clearly the wrong line of work. So it's like
Yeah, you're in the wrong business.
you're in the
dude.
wrong business. It's like Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm saying I'm one of the best on YouTube. Okay, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best.
Hard to say you're not top 10.
Then it's like being like this guy. This guy's like a high school quarterback, or maybe let's say this guy's a dog trainer, right?
Pop
and he's
Warner.
like, Aaron Rodgers, you're trash, dude. Yeah, but he's like won Super Bowls and 4 MVPs, and like, you know, he's good. He's objectively or non-objectively, which one is truth?
Objectively is to like say it like it's like a fact versus like subjective is like an opinion based.
Objectively,
analysis.
Aaron Rodgers, by any measure, is
A good quarterback.
Is a great quarterback because there are measures to it. How many Super Bowls? How many MVPs? What do your teammates think about you? How many games won? How many yards? How many touch? There's a lot of metrics. On any metric, he is one of the best ever. Take my metric. Take Robert Cabral's metric. Take Larry Crone's. On those metrics, they are one of the best ever.
Yeah.
There's any number of metrics. You could say there's trophies for this sport. You could say there's subscribers. You could say there's dogs helped.
Yeah,
you could say years of being in it.
There's just like number of videos. There's the comments and reactions and the legions of subscribers that follow these people.
By any metric, there's some dog trainer just doing his thing who's 55, probably older than me, right? It's hard to be much better when you're 30. The dog numbers it's hard to have the dog numbers there, right? It's hard to be the best quarterback ever when you're 30 because the games played is not there.
Because of
right?
Tom Brady, right?
Yeah. I mean, or Aaron Rodgers. Like you don't, it's hard to be the best ever at a certain age. But when you get to a older age, right? The dogs are there, the years are there, the videos are there.
Yeah, and the videos are the thing that are hard to challenge. And I think about things in terms of, okay, well, the proof is in the pudding, as I said earlier, right? So if you can do better, then show us how it's done.
That's generally if I comment back to folks like that was an email, but I'll just be like, hey, just let's link the video right here.
Show me.
Guess how many times it's been linked?
Never. And there was a guy who was commenting the other day.
And it never will be.
There was a guy commented the other day and he had 2 dog videos and he was running his mouth. And I went on my own thing and was like, hey, dude, like, you know so much. Let's see the videos. All I see is 2 like worthless dog videos of like just random stuff happening. And I'm like, show us if you got the skills, show us what's up.
And I don't say in the comments, like, show me the videos for everybody, because it's just like, I mean, that's not the best argument, but it's an argument when the person wants to do a deep dive on why the way I'm training dogs. Like if they're like, I don't like you, I don't go show me the videos. Like, doesn't make sense. They just don't like me. Anyone could have that opinion. They don't say that, but if you're like, oh, you should have done this here and done this here, and I would have done this here. It's like, great. Just show me the video.
Show me how to do it.
Show me how to do it.
Yeah. I want to learn.
You can't?
Well, I don't have any dogs I can work with.
Because you're not a good trainer.
Because you're not even a trainer at all.
Any good trainer has dogs to work with. You know how many out of control dogs there are in the world? You know how much money you can make as a dog trainer if you're a good dog trainer?
But you know how...
Bro, get out of your line of work and get into dog training if you're good at it. You will make money.
I was thinking about how you were saying you're in the wrong line of work. It's like...
Oh, yeah.
So let's think about this for a second. You and your wife have a dog training business, right? In which you feed your entire family, including, you and your wife feed your entire family, plus yourselves, right? Do all the things you want to do from dog training, more or less.
It's all dog training.
That's all paid for dog training. We have a whole thing going on, the side business, more or less, right? Because of dog training, right? because you're such a bad dog trainer.
Yeah.
So if you start to think about it,
That's a metric.
and I'm thinking about canceling everything with you because like this guy, I thought you were good at dog training, and here it turns out that you're actually not.
I'm not.
That you're in the wrong line of work.
You should get behind this guy.
Yeah. That guy probably made 3 videos on YouTube, none about dog training though.
Yeah.
They were all done on his phone, and it was like bouncing around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was wondering why no one was watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd like to say too about the methods versus results thing too, is like even with thumbnails, is people would say, hey, the way you're doing thumbnails is wrong. It's not the best way to do it. And I'd be like, for sure, you're right about that. This is not
tell the pod you do the thumbnails. No one knows that.
Oh, well, I do the thumbnails and
for my videos.
And it's like, this is not the best way to do it. This is the way that I do it, and it's the way I'm comfortable with it. And I've built a way of doing it quickly enough that I can get it good enough to where I can start working on it on my own time, where I'm not in front of the computer the whole time.
Yeah.
And then that's what I do. And I'm sure there's other ways to do it, but it works good in my life because I cannot just sit here in front of the screen for 4 hours. I can get it ready for like 45 minutes, but then I can mess around with designs on my phone. That's what I do. But I'm saying there's better ways to do it. And I could pay someone and they'd probably show me 50, but I'm in the same boat as you, which is like, I don't want to change the way I'm doing it. It's working just fine.
It's our way. It's your way. There's other ways to do it. Doesn't mean there's better ways to do it.
Yeah. But I'm sure that guy is probably like, you're in the wrong line of business. He'd tell that to me too. I suck. Right.
Yeah. So let's,
you want to keep going on some comments?
Yeah. And then we'll wrap this thing up.
Okay. So we got some good ones. Okay. Molly Howe says, this may be my favorite podcast so far, talking about the Garrett Wing podcast, episode number 26. Oh, I do want to bring this up though, because people have asked for the number in the podcast.
Yep.
So they can know what podcast it is too. But also you can click on podcasts and it has them all perfectly organized 1 through 26.
I assume they know that. They still want it in the title.
But that is new, right? They didn't used to have a podcast section, which is like a playlist. They didn't have that until maybe 9 months ago or 6 months ago. So maybe they don't know that. But if you're ever interested and want to like look for podcasts, everything is neatly organized in the podcast section. It goes like videos, shorts, podcasts. Okay. You both have very different styles and opinions on dog training, but came together like true professionals, and it was a lot of fun to watch. Great for the dog training community. Maybe others will hop on board and come together.
I like Garrett Wing as a human being.
Yeah. Can we tell the inside baseball about we went to dinner?
Oh yeah. We went to dinner afterwards with Garrett.
Yeah.
I just like him. I just like him as a person, man.
Yeah. It was,
we're both dog trainers. We don't do the same thing. Yeah. We use different methods. We use different tools. We have different backgrounds, but I just like him as a human being. He's a good guy.
And it's also like as a comparison, like, well, who's a better dog trainer? It's like, well, if you're trying to train like, police canines, like you're probably going to be like, hey, Garrett, you take this client.
Don't call me.
Yeah. Yeah. He knows that's his world.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. This one was good. William McCartney, I think it is. He says, sitting here drinking Topo Chico, watching 2 favorite canine bosses, and notice the Topo Chico on the other side of the screen. Must be doing something right.
Yeah.
You read that, actually. I see your thing. So we are not sponsored
on it. Yeah.
We are not sponsored by Topo Chico, although we should be. I thought this was a good comment from dog trainer Hillary. She says, that was fantastic, guys. Super balance of reality in the world. Yes, dominance exists with entertainment and some dog junk mixed in. I love your podcast. I may be one of the only female dog trainers based in common sense in the pod, perhaps. And then she has laughing emojis. I should start reading the emojis so people know. For better or for worse. I followed Garrett here. So we got a Garrett subscriber. Which, what is it? American Standard Canine. I followed Garrett here. Love the collab. And are you okay? Do I need to call the 911?
I'm dying. I am seriously dying.
What if you died on the podcast? This would get so many views. I'm going to call 911 if you have this.
dude. Keep reading.
Love the collab. The show must go on. Love the collab and respect shown on this podcast. There's something to be said about two people being secure enough to go against the grain and show that two trainers can get along, even if they don't agree on everything. We need more of this attitude in the world.
Yeah, he came on. Someone said he came on and he was like super humble. Right away, he was like, "Hey, I just want to tell you how much I respect you." He was super humble.
Yeah, you guys were both you were both like singing each other's praises. Like you were real into his videos and all that type of stuff. And yeah, I think we left with a friend, and I think that's cool. Like, you know, we have each other's numbers, and
yeah,
who knows, maybe I'll pop on for a virtual, what do they used to call it? Via satellite. Maybe we'll do a via satellite call one day.
Yeah.
If we ever have any like canine type of questions or whatever. Anyways, this is where the legends meet. Hope to see you conversing with Caesar on your podcast too. Who knows? You never know. Lucy Goosey says, so good to see your faces together, like on my YouTube subscription list. Really awesome to hear you guys chat. This needs to happen more with balanced, and he prefers the term grounded trainers.
Grounded trainers. Yeah, I don't like balanced.
But you've been called worse thing than balanced, though, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a fine label. Grounded. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
They're grounded in reality, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's where it's going with that. I wish there was another word for it. I don't want to be like the force free folks, though. They like keep changing it because they're like, there's no such thing as all positive, right? Even though years ago that's what they called it. It's not operant condition. It's not positive reinforcement training because we use two of the legs of the Skinner table. And, okay, so you're all positive. No, we can't be all positive. Oh, but now they've landed on force free, which I'm down. Let's call them force free. Let's see if they're actually force free.
Yeah.
They ain't. When are you force free in life? Are you force free with employees, or do they have to show up on time? Are you force free with kids? You send them to school, they're crying. And you got to go, hey, you got to go to school.
Takes force to get out of bed sometimes in the morning, right?
Yeah, you sometimes got to pick up your kid.
You have to go to work in the morning, and it's like takes a degree of force to be like, okay,
yeah,
like tough it out. I need to get up and get after it. Steve says, great example of check your ego at the door. Decades of hands-on experience with differing methods, humble enough and open enough to say there's still more to learn. Good job, guys. So you agree from what we talked about earlier that there is more to learn. You're just not sure if you're wanting to learn it right now.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
I like this one. Moy Pedro says, I saw the thumbnail and was confused for a second since I'm used to their faces being on their own thumbnail for their channel. I'm so happy to see these two amazing trainers in a video together. Would be so cool to see Thanos and Prince together. I thought that part was cool.
Oh,
like
yeah.
If he had his dog out. But it is tough. He lives, I believe, in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And so that's a heck of a flight for that dog to have to deal with.
Yeah, no reason for that.
Yeah, that would be rough. But and then I also thought when I was making the thumbnail, I was actually I sent it to Garrett too, and I was thinking like if I was watching, I would be pumped, like seeing the thumbnail, like you're not ready for it, and then you're just like, wait, what?
There
Garrett?
I am on a thumbnail that someone else made.
Yeah, like Garrett's on there.
That'd be cool.
You know, but I was thinking more about the audience than Garrett specifically.
Yeah, I want to go on I want to go on a podcast. I just want, like, you have to when you do your own podcast, you got to prepare for the person coming in. I want to do no preparation and just go sit down and have someone ask me questions.
Maybe you should go like on a purely positive one, have them like attack you the whole time. That'd be, and not let you get a word in edgewise. It's like Pierce Morgan or something.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
It'd get views probably.
I would
probably
flip it. Like, I'd be like, I'm interviewing you now.
That would be like, they would try to mess with you, and it would be like someone trying to get the jump on Ben Shapiro. You know, you're just like, oh, you messed up.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a sort of rope-a-dope you can do with them where you kind of let them go down and like get themselves all spun up, and then you like pounce. Not even spun up, like, I don't know.
You let them overextend themselves.
Yeah. And you just listen.
They just do too much.
And then you go, okay,
And then you just say one one-liner that shuts it down completely.
Yeah.
And you're like, how many dogs have you trained? And they're like, oh,
Yeah.
know what I
You
mean?
just say, oh, and then they'll be like, and I'm like, no, we need to get to that question.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's no wells.
Yeah.
No, it's actually at the heart of this question. You got to answer it. Well, it's not about the number, but no, it is. See, I guess I would flip it. I'd be like, I'm interviewing you.
I think the thing is like, I know we keep going back to that Jordan Peterson thing, but when he got that girl that he was interviewing and she's like, why do you think you can make people feel uncomfortable? And he's like you're making me feel uncomfortable. Yes. And then she was like, It was like, cat got your tongue. And he goes, oh, I gotcha. And I'm like, I know. But it went viral because it was like, she wasn't, you know, you have to be careful with people like that. Like even Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson is not only like conservative people, but they've been waiting their entire life to go to battle with you. And then you just think you're going to go
and you just walk into it.
Yeah. And it's like any of these guys, any of the top dog trainers, like you try to catch them off guard and like, they're like, I've thought about this dog training stuff my entire life. Like there's nothing you've thought of that I haven't thought of 100 times in the bathroom.
There's a handful of people who can be like, I disagree with you on aggressive dog stuff, but they've all worked with aggressive dogs.
Yeah.
The people who haven't, we're literally not moving on from that question until they answer the question. Now I'm doing their podcast. I don't set the agenda, but like, I'm not going to really just let you like tell me how to do it. And then it comes to find out that you don't work with aggressive dogs, or you're acting like dogs that are aggressive, that are not aggressive. Like we may not have a lot to talk about. It might be a short podcast because we don't agree on the premise, right? That Quentin Tarantino one, he was up on a thing and she said, why don't you have female leads or something like that? And he goes, I don't agree with your premise. And then she's tried to keep asking questions. Well, we can't go anywhere. We don't agree on the premise of the question. There's no answer.
Oh, there was the this is.
And then he pointed to Kill Bill and was like, "Are you out of your mind? I don't have female leads." Or
that was
maybe
my first thought.
I don't know if he pointed to it. Maybe it was a different question. He said, "I don't agree with the premise," but it's something about females. And I think he just probably he didn't even want to go to the Kill Bill thing. Yeah. He basically just said, I'm going to squash this now rather than answer the question, right? If you say, oh, I had Kill Bill, they can always come back and go, yeah, but that's one movie out of so-and-so, right? That's not enough for her. If he says, I don't agree with your premise, it's over.
Yeah.
The conversation's over. Your question is being answered in any form or fashion.
So over the weekend, there was like a journalistic kind of like, fatality, not in real life, but like I was watching the post-fight press conference for UFC.
Yeah.
And Dana White, love him or hate him, he knows his stuff. I mean, he has dedicated his entire life to that business. This guy starts asking him because Francis Ngannou went and started boxing and he left the UFC. They tried to make the John Jones fight. The guy wouldn't do it. So they tried to make that fight for years. So this guy is basically saying, so what about doing a co-promotion with the PFL, which is like professional fighting league, no one even pays any attention to, and because that's where Francis is now.
Yep.
And he goes like, I don't understand your question. Like, what do you mean? And he goes, well, like you could do a co-promotion. You're involved with ESPN, and you could and give the fans what they want. And he's like, but I already tried to make that fight with them. And they're like, yeah, but you could co-promote. And it's like co-promote it with like PFL or Bellator.
Yeah.
He's like, why would I do that? Right. And they're like, the guy's getting uncomfortable because he wasn't ready for the response that he was going to get called out like that. And then at the very end, he goes, well, congratulations. You get the stupidest question of the night. Like it was so harsh, but it was so true because but you have to think about it. You built this entire organization and you're just like going to go try to like find this one-off fighter to do this one fight with some lowly company. It makes no sense. And he's one of those guys like the ones we mentioned that you have to be so careful and you don't want to come across cocky in your question because he can literally like end your career with one joke, Yeah.
I
love
do
that
know.
stuff.
I do.
I love it. Okay. So we've got this gentleman.
Robert Kraft was asked many years ago. No one saw this. I'm the only one that had any interest in this. Michael Vick was, we all know Michael Vick is, and his sister's dogs, but he was coming off of prison, and the Patriots seemed like a good landing spot because of the infrastructure in place with the coach, and he could come in and sort of be surrounded by people in a system, right? There's not a lot of loosey-goosey.
After prison.
Him going to the Raiders would be the worst thing in the history of the world, right? Him going to the Patriots would be good. And they asked Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, what do you think about bringing Michael Vick in? And he said something that I hadn't thought about. But smart people think about things you don't think about. And he goes, why would we ever want to take Tom Brady off the field? Which that's not going where anyone thought it would go. But it's just, I thought the same thing. Michael Vick would be perfect in that system. And then he goes, why would we ever want to take him off the field? And I was like, oh, that's a different way to look at it.
Yeah, it's only if he got injured and couldn't play would be the only reason we would even think about it.
He doesn't get injured, right? He had one injury in his whole career. There's quarterbacks who don't get injured. Phillip Rivers doesn't get injured. I trained the backup quarterback, his dogs, and I talked to him. He's like a friend. Oh my God.
Some people are more durable.
And he goes, yeah, Phillip, he's the backup quarterback for Phillip Rivers. And he goes, yeah, Phillip doesn't get hurt. He doesn't get hurt. It doesn't happen. But could it happen? I suppose so,
yes,
but
it can.
No, of course it can. Tom Brady got a knee injury. He's out for the season. Like, it can happen. Yeah. But he's like, Brett Favre doesn't get hurt.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting,
the odds of you playing are very low if you're a backup quarterback for one of those guys.
I know, like, even with people like Conor McGregor used to always be like, these guys pull out of fights because they like get hurt. He's like, I'll never pull out of a fight. But it's like over a long enough period of time, right? Like, something like you shatter your leg, and you're like, I thought you didn't get hurt. And then also, like, you look at like the different men in general, like, and that's the craziest part about MMA, which I know it's not an MMA podcast, so we'll roll through. But like, you get two guys that are indestructible guys, and it's like someone's gonna lose. Like,
that's what I like about MMA.
You cannot. You're not going to survive. So there's this gentleman, you might have heard him, Under Duress. He's quite the commenter here.
Yeah,
I think
he's a caller.
Caller as well. I don't know if there was a voicemail from him this last week or so, but he says, can you imagine if an officer had a gun that wouldn't? And so let me set the table here. Garrett Wing had said that there was that only 30% of the dogs could be called off with like one command, I believe, when it was on a dog attacking or on a perpetrator attacking. And so that's where this comes from. Can you imagine if an officer had a gun that wouldn't stop shooting 70% of the time they let off the trigger? That's exactly what we're talking about when an officer does not have control of their dog 70% of the time. How can anyone justify the use of violence without control of that violence? By the way, I have witnessed firsthand a police dog attacking an innocent man, and that dog handler could not stop it on command. The stakes are high with dogs, and even with the best training, they can only control them 30% of the time. That's insane.
Yeah.
That was I actually did not finish reading that comment until I was reading it just now. That's actually a pretty good point.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would assume that police training of dogs is far from perfect. And Garrett just made that crystal clear. I would have never thought it's in any way perfect.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And we've talked about it, just some of the highlights we see on YouTube. We'll do a couple more. There is a couple good comments that I think you'll like at the end here. So Mrs. Grace says, great podcast, guys. And I wanted to get your take on this. Wondering if you can comment on the next one on random reactivity. When a dog reacts to the same type of situation differently one week and then not all at the same time, but or not at all the same the next. But even if you just think about like random reactivity as a general, like
strange
like
word,
it's reactive, but at like random times. Inconsistent.
There's almost no such thing as random reactivity because there's either something different in the trigger or the stimulus, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, he reacted to that husky and he didn't react to a husky a week later. Well, those aren't the same huskies. Random would be he reacts to his best friend husky for no reason and then loves him and then hates him. Two things. One, mental illness will cause true random aggression. And two, e-collars. Yeah. When turned up too high and the timing off and your dog doesn't like dogs, throw an e-collar on them, turn it up, they look at a dog, you light them up, you can then cause random I say intense, sporadic, and random aggression with that, with misuse of e-collars. That's it. Every other random aggression is not random. I mean, I guess dog could be having a bad day, but it's still probably not random.
There's actually not a lot of random things that are
in life
that exist. And I don't know if it's a book called Fooled by Randomness or not, but Frost a Hobby, I think we talked about this before in a podcast he was on Joe Rogan, and we talked about randomness a bit, I think last week with Garrett. But it's interesting about randomness because, people would say, oh, like the pool table, so you would do a break and like they just randomly go.
Oh,
but it's like they don't randomly go.
Yes.
Just because you don't understand the physics behind what's hitting which ball to go which way, or you roll a dice, like you roll the dice, it's random. It's not random. It hit a certain way, hit a certain way, hit a certain way, and it landed exactly where it was supposed to based on how it got hit. So like even when you do like random number generators, a lot of times they're not even random number generators. Like they're actually timed to like the clock on your computer. And so if it's, whatever split second, it basically just throws a random number out. So it's actually truly not random. And so your point is essentially that what appears to be random to the layperson is not actually random at all.
Yep.
It's actually, there's deep reason behind why it's acting that way.
Yep.
And then maybe if you look at some of your videos where you look at like the body language, right? And you're like, no, he just randomly bit me. It's like, no, he didn't. He was ready to go 3 seconds before that.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Or even my dog at a year old randomly went into another dog. If you would have brought me that dog at 9 months old, I can almost promise you, I would have told you, yeah, see that little thing right there? We got to be careful of that. He's 9 months old now. At a year, that might be something. So I identify that a lot.
Yeah.
It wasn't random at a year. There were signs before that I don't expect a normal person to see. They shouldn't see it. I mean, some should, but there's little things that happen. It wasn't random in a year.
Yeah. It's like
it was showing at 9 months.
You're in like one of the roughest neighborhoods and you're like, I was attacked. It was a random act of violence. It's like, well, it wasn't that random. There's like 200 instances of violence that night. And
yeah, that's true.
You were in the wrong place. That's clearly. Playful Tree. We'll do like 3 more, but I want to get to one that I think you really like. I've spent the past week catching up on the podcast since episode 7. You guys are entertaining to listen to with amazing chemistry, and this is only podcast I felt dedicated to. Happy to listen, and let's go to 100.
Okay.
Shout out to that. So that was cool. People saying that you're funny, or we're funny, or someone's funny. Okay, this was good. So Garrett Wing commented on the top part, pinned his comment, and he was just saying thanks for being on there. And so this guy said, my man Garrett, I'm coming over from ASK9, which is this site. Been waiting on you guys to get together and hit some topics. Thank you, GW and Joel. And so this guy says, Andy Romero says, not gonna lie, this is like a LeBron and Dwayne duo here, just missing Will Atherton for the big 3, right? And then I thought this was funny. Then this guy RP Patrick or R Patrick says, Andy Romero, he says, or Jordan and Pippen. Eric can be Rodman for always stirring up stuff. LOL.
Rodman's the best.
I loved Rodman.
I still love Rodman.
Yeah.
I'll never not love Dennis Rodman.
So when I was young,
I love Jordan the most.
My sister's boyfriend was a Spurs fan, and he was like 5 years older than me. I was like a young kid. I was like 12. So like, I was like, oh, all right, I'm going to be a Spurs fan if you're a Spurs. And we live in San Diego. There's no,
right.
There's no one. So anyways, so I got into that. So that was back when Sean Elliott, Rodman
from Arizona,
the Admiral, David Robinson.
You weren't 12
Avery
when he played for the Spurs.
Oh, he might have come in later, huh?
Yeah.
Well, there was like Doc. What was his name? Doc Rivers, who's now a coach actually. So like all these, but there's a big team. But anyway, so then I always like loved, because he actually was on. Well, no, he was Pistons, and then he went to the Spurs, and then he went on to a bunch of other teams, right?
Yeah.
After that. So anyway, so I always loved him, but he was like the most underrated guy, even though people knew him. His rebounds were insane. Like he'd average 17 rebounds a day.
When I was like 20.
A game.
Yeah. The problem with him, towards the end of his career, all he cared about was rebounds. So like he literally wouldn't play defense, and he was unbelievable at defense early in his career, and then he just stopped playing and just so he could pad his rebound numbers, and it became a problem. But I love Dennis Rodman for, I mean, I read his book. I just loved his hustle, and I loved everything about him. I still love him.
To be fair, I was 12 years old when he was on the San Antonio Spurs.
There's no way.
Yeah, so he started
Bro.
the Detroit Pistons from 86 to 93, and then 93 to 95, he was on the San Antonio Spurs.
Oh,
was
I
born
thought he was on the
1981.
Spurs after the Bulls.
No, he might have been again. Chicago Bulls from 95 to 98. I was a little bit out of the...
You were 12?
Yeah.
I read his book. I was already like 20.
Well,
Or
you're
maybe-
25 years older than me, though.
Yeah, I'm only like 5 years older than you.
Long Beach Jam. So then he goes
So
to
he
Los
really
An-
was.
Yeah.
You were 12.
Well, 93, I was 12
You were.
for part of the year, probably most
All
of
right.
it.
I thought I was so sure of my math
Yeah, you were.
and
you were
my
wrong.
my understanding of when he played.
I mean, what
for
do I know?
the Spurs.
I only experienced it in my life, right? How would I know?
I totally called you out, and then I was wrong.
But there was some really,
I
that was a cool
apologize.
team. And then also, but then remember, because actually I was a big fan of, and we'll shut the podcast down, but I was a big fan of college basketball at that time. And I remember Tim Duncan he was on Wake Forest, and he was on with this guy Randolph Childress.
I know.
And they were the top guys. And that was the
Childress
same
a
time.
stud.
Do you remember Junior Burroughs? He
I remember
played for
the name.
Virginia. He was like a big guy. I don't think he did much in his professional career.
Yeah.
But college basketball at that time was really cool. But I remember him coming on to, and I don't know if he started, did he go right to the Spurs or
I
no?
don't know. Who? Duncan?
Duncan.
Yeah.
So
They drafted
did he play his whole time or no?
I don't think he went anywhere else.
No. So he probably played San Antonio. So,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I think so. Like probably like 18 seasons.
We should work for ESPN,
Bro.
dude.
I should.
We're in the wrong business. See, that guy was right. We are in the wrong business.
Yeah, I should. Maybe he's saying I'm awesome as a sports commentator.
He's like, you should be doing
a sports podcast.
You should be like Stephen A. Smith. Don't you think?
Hey, that's it. We got into
We broke the
sports.
internet.
Yeah.
We broke the internet.
All right.
Subscribe to the channel.
That's it. Love you
Buy
guys.
some merch. What else you got to do?
Watch the video.
Look at the video. Do whatever you want.